Beautiful day for some inspiration. What would I do without you, my beautiful tray? Hold on, tray, I'll feed you in a minute. Hi everyone, welcome to Me, Myself and My Tray, where I make things in my trusty old tray. Well, maybe the tray's not too old, but it's trusty anyway. Okay, today I'm gonna make something really easy to put together. It's a focaccia, and it's endless the toppings you can put on it. It's a really simple focaccia base, like a bread dough, and I'm going for like a straight dough method. So we're going to be using dried yeast, and really there's no pre-ferment or no sourdough starter in this one. So it's really simple for everyone to be able to do. We'll get into the sourdough one another time, but for today, really basic. We're going to get that going, put some lovely colourful vegetables on top, and bake that goodness absolutely to perfection. We've got the water, we've got our olive oil and water, we have our baker's flour, a little bit of polenta and some wholemeal flour, we have our dried yeast, and we have some sea salt. Okay, let's get cracking into this recipe. The first thing we're going to do is put our liquids in. We're going to put our dries over the top. We're going to mix that up, get some gluten strength going, build that nice strong dough. Then we're going to add a little bit more liquid in at the end, and then put that little baby away to ferment. And that's going to be one of our crucial parts, is that fermentation process, building up some of those gas bubbles, letting it start to rise, giving it a fold, and letting it sit to the side. And then put our amazing veggies and bake that off. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so water in first. Add in our dried yeast. Then we'll add our flour, polenta and wholemeal flour. Goes in. Okay, so we're ready to start mixing our dough. We've got our electric mixer. If you don't have an electric mixer, you can mix it by hand. It'll just be a little bit tougher, but nonetheless, it'll still work and be amazing. So we're using an electric mixer with a dough hook attachment. And we've got our first ingredients in the bowl, which is the water, the flours and the yeast. And we're gonna bring that together now to form a dough and start to develop that gluten. So it'll probably be in there for about 5 or 6 minutes. It just depends on your mixer, the speed you put it on, but we'll literally tell by looking at it and trying to do a window pane test. So I'll show you that as we go through. Okay, so we're just going to do a little dough test just to show you the development. And you just obviously grab a bit, stretch it out, and you can see we've actually got quite a bit of development quite fast. A little break there. But I'm going to give that a few more minutes mixing. We're going to add the last bit of liquid in, and then we're done. Okay, so we're just going to add the final bit of oil and water. Add that in 3 small additions. Don't put it all in at once. Let the dough take it in first, and then add another little bit. Okay, so now the first little bit of liquid has cleared out. We're going to add the second addition, and then allow the same, and then repeat with the remaining. So our dough is ready. We've added that extra liquid in, and we've continued to mix it for about 2 to 3 minutes. So I'm just going to take it off now, and we're going to put that preparation on to ferment. I'll show, and you'll see the dough's gotten a lot softer because we've added that extra liquid in. Okay, what we're going to be doing next is we're going to add some olive oil to the tray. Good splash of olive oil. The beauty about this is we're going to ferment it in the tray and then obviously leave it in there to be used. So it's really easy. You don't have to take it out. Less washing as well. A good chunk of olive oil because we want to give it a good grease, and it helps with the folds as well. So now I'm going to add the dough in. Okay, so the dough's in there, as you can see. It's looking great, a little bit softer. Now I'm just going to give it its first fold, and you'll see this is what a fold is. Literally going to pull it over that, from up over the top, then from the top over the bottom. It's like a little parcel. And then do that with the other sides in the same fashion. Top to bottom, bottom to top. And we'll form a little parcel that we're just going to turn over. and let that sit. I'm gonna cover that with some cling film. Now we're gonna leave that to the side, somewhere warm preferably, somewhere 26 to 30 degrees, somewhere in the house, and then we're gonna repeat that folding process twice more. Every half an hour, we're gonna put a fold into it, and then we create some beautiful air bubbles inside, and then we're gonna bake it. Okay, so we've got our dough done, it's off there fermenting. Right now, we're gonna prepare our vegetables to go on top of the focaccia when it's ready. Now I've got a few different varieties and colors that I've chosen for that reason, to give it a little bit of pop, but it's completely up to you, right? You can, in this process, you can add whatever you want, anything you like. If it's a vegetable, if you want cauliflower, you want cabbage, whatever you want, you can put it on. But I'm gonna show you what I've chosen to put on, and that's gonna be a few beautiful colors. We've got some Radicchio, which is nice and bitter, amazing when it's roasted. Got some sweet grapes, which are beautiful when they just roast and they just kind of burst a little bit in your mouth. Gives it a nice little sweetness, goes really well with the bitterness. It's gonna go great with some salty olives we're gonna add on there as well. And I've got some beautiful roast capsicums we're gonna lightly roast, and some cherry tomatoes. And they're gonna add different dimensions and colors as well to this. I'm gonna top that off with a little bit of fresh thyme and sea salt. And Bob's your uncle, right? Absolutely delicious. Fresh olive oil, and you'll be eating this thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, we've got to roast off our capsicums and our tomatoes, just a little bit. I'm not going to cook them much because they're going to get cooked on when we put on top, but they're a little bit harder, and I like to just roast them gently a little bit before at a low temperature. So we're going to do that first. So I'm going to get into cutting some of that up, putting it on a tray with some olive oil, and I'm going to pop that in the oven. Okay, first I'm just going to cut up these little baby capsicums I've got. So just cut them in half, just take out a little bit of seed there, quite easy, not a lot. These are going to look really cute. And then you get the seeds out, and we're just going to pop them on a tray. So just continue to do that with all the ones you have, really beautiful yellow ones. Same thing. Okay, next I'm just going to chop up the baby tomatoes. Going to put them on the same tray with these little baby capsicums and roast them together. A little tip as well, like, is when you're obviously chopping something, to have a little, you can have a little bin bowl there, so you don't make much mess. You just put everything in and keep it clean. So just chop them in half. Okay, so we're going to bake these for about 15 to 20 minutes, just lightly, just to take a little bit of that moisture out and get them still plump and juicy, but it's just partially cooked. So the rest of the cooking will get done on top of the focaccia. But for now, just to take a little bit of that moisture out so they're not so raw and watery when they cook on top. Okay, so it's time. We're going to put the final turn in. Start to see some gas bubbles starting to form as it ferments with the room temperature. Okay, so we've got our doughs ready to be topped now. I've had it in the sink proving for a little while because it's winter here where I am in Australia. So I'm just going to unwrap it, take the plastic wrap that I had around it, and you'll be able to see that it's gotten nice and spongy and starting to get some air pockets and air bubbles in there from the fermentation, which is what you want. So now I'm going to prepare all the toppings that I have. Some of them I've already pre-roasted as we saw, and some of the ones I'm just going to get ready to put on top, and let's make this baby, yeah? So now I've got that pushed out beautifully into the corners. First I'm going to go on with some caramelised onion. Really easy, quick spread. Add as much or as little as you want. Smush it over. Then we're going to go in with some grapes. So just these green grapes, add that sweetness, and when they're cooked, the flavour starts to develop, caramelize a little bit, and it's actually part of one of the traditional Italian style focaccias with olives and just olives and grapes. It's absolutely delicious. I love it. It goes great with an awesome meal. Okay, so we've got our onion, caramelized onion, we've got our grapes in there, green grapes, absolutely looking amazing. I'm gonna add on these roasted peppers and or roasted capsicum, whatever you call them, and these lightly roasted cherry tomatoes that I did previously. I'm just gonna pop them in between evenly, you know, just space them out. And set it as you wish, keeping some space for the other things that are gonna come. Now we're going to add on some of these beautifully slightly roasted peppers. That adds so much colour and enjoyment. You know, look at that, this makes it pop. Absolutely out of this world. Okay, the peppers are on, the baby cherry tomatoes are on, grapes, onion. I'm just going to pop in some roasted garlic, and what I've done, I've just obviously peeled some garlic, kept it in its cloves, wrapped it in some paper and put that in an oven at 180 degrees until it sort of starts to caramelize a bit. You get these beautiful little caramelized nuggets of garlicky goodness. And these are going to add so much flavor power in here. When you get one of those, they're going to be like a little burst of caramelized garlic sweetness, right? It's not going to be that overpowering raw garlic taste. I mean, like I said, it's been caramelized slightly in the oven. It's gonna be like pops of flavor bomb goodness. Okay, so now I've got the olives and radicchio to go on last, okay? And we're gonna add a little bit of thyme at the end. See if I've got enough time. Okay, olives, just using these beautiful pitted black olives, Kalamata. Okay, so I've got my radicchio, cut off some leaves, and now I'm just going to cut it into a little bit smaller portions so it obviously fits the size of the tray. So like literally just cut in little pieces like this, and they're just going to kind of push them in. I'm just going to add little pops of colour. Just push that radicchio in, arrange it, gives that beautiful purple hue, and that's just going to obviously bake off, get a little bit wilty, get a little bit crunchy. Just give that nice rounded bitterness to balance with everything. Okay, so we're nearly at the end. We've just put our radicchio. One of the last things is thyme, a little bit of oil, and a little bit of water, and we're pretty much done. Tear off the thyme, sprinkle it over the top, add a little bit of herbaceousness and flavour. So you just tear off the leaves, sprinkle it over the top. Okay, finish it off. I'm just going to give it another quick little drizzle of oil, not too much, we've already put a fair bit on. And lastly, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I love this smoked salt, it's absolutely gorgeous. It adds a little bit of smokiness, the aroma is amazing, especially with that thyme, it's just out of this world. But you can use any salt you want. And then lastly, just some splashes of water. And what the water does is just create a bit of moisture on the surface, creates steam, and gives you like that crispy, soft, crunchy texture when it bakes. So now we're ready to bake. We're going to go in 200 degrees for 5 minutes, and then the rest of the cooking process at 170 until it's done. Lightly golden, nice and crunchy. Let's try and keep as much colour as we can in the toppings, but it is going to colour a little bit naturally. Smells, that's all I can say. The room is full of smells. It smells delicious. The thyme, the smoked salt, all those roast peppers and tomatoes, and it's just letting off so much aroma and it's making me so hungry. Absolutely delicious, so simple. We're going to tuck into this soon and let it cool a little bit first, just let the structure settle, and then we'll tuck into it and have a bite. Okay, so we've baked our beautiful focaccia. It's looking delicious. You know, the parts have nicely gone crispy, and some are soft, and you know, some are beautifully still got colour. It looks amazing. Now we're going to tuck in. I'm going to cut a slice. Just loosen the edges with a little bit of a palette knife, just to make sure they come away, like so. Then just using some scissors, and lift up one end. Get under it. And cut ourselves some slices. So I've cut a little bit of focaccia. You see it's piping hot. I would suggest let it cool completely before you cut it up. But you know, I'm obviously being patient, and I wanted you to see a beautiful slice coming out of it hot. Look at that beautiful structure, those beautiful big bubbles that give that nice crumb shot and show a great fermentation. And those bowls that we put in are essential to getting that. Okay, let's tuck in. So good. Lost my olive become. So much flavour going on. You could even cut this in half when it's cold and put some cold cuts inside it if you want. Some more roast vegetables. Put your flavoured spread in it, even, like a hummus or a ricotta or something like that, and make a little sambo, burrata, whatever you love. And just tuck in, it's just delicious. So enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to me, myself, and my tray. Make sure you like it or subscribe if you love it. Helps us do more videos and share that beautiful tray baking love.
You were amazingly delicious in there today. I just couldn't keep my eyes off you. All I wanted to do was eat you.
Where are we going for dinner?
Bon appetit!